Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Today I want to talk about something, and I'm not trying to make light of people here, but I am trying to be very serious, and I want people to think about this. What is a less lethal Fudd? Well, what is a Fudd? Have you heard that term before? It's a common term. It's a slang term. It's a negative term. It's meant to put down someone, typically referring to, in the firearm community, people who are firearm owners. They may hunt, they own firearms, but they are people that are considered to be negative or looked down upon by the general community because they are open to restrictions to gun rights. They're not like actively promoting 2A, 2A, 2A. These are people that are more moderate. And they are looked at as Fudds because they don't train. They're not as skilled at self-defense tactics. They don't practice that, and they really get into it. And I don't think it's fair necessarily to call your average person who's a hunter and who's not really serious about self-defense. I don't think it's fair to call them a negative term. But at the same time, it is a term that is used, and I'm going to use it today. And I don't mean it necessarily in a negative way, but if you want to interpret it that way, some people do. In the less lethal community, I think there are people that I would characterize very similarly as Fudds. These are the people who look at their less lethals more like Lego blocks, and they want to build, and they want to move things around, and they want to say how pretty this is, and this looks good, and they may shoot once in a while, but it's usually just cosmetic focus, very little emphasis or thought process toward actual real-world self-defense. It's more about fun and play. And to me, that is not what we should be all about in less lethal community. If you want to call yourself less lethal, then less lethal implies that there's a term there that you're using it for self-defense. If you want to talk about paintball gun play, air gunning, plinking, those kind of terms, well, they go right ahead. Those are probably the more appropriate terms, but don't call yourself less lethal unless you're serious about self-defense. There's also a subset of the less lethal community. Of course, everybody knows the Joule junkies who are shooting for lethal power at all cost, no matter what happens. And everybody knows the risk there, and I've talked about those ad nauseum. But I want to talk about the other end of the spectrum, are those people who are the less lethal Fudds, who are absolutely dead set in belief that a 7 Joule kill shot is something that they can do on a routine basis, and they're going to be able to defend themselves with their 7 Joule launcher, and they don't care what anyone says or what any of the ballistics show. They know that it will work, and they can land all of them in the face, and they're going to stop someone, and it can be deadly if it hits them just right, because they're convinced of that, even though there's really no evidence to support that. That is a bit of delusion, and I don't know what that's based in. I don't know what's the foundation for someone to believe that. A very similar delusion, and something that a less lethal Fudd would believe, is that a chemical round ball, a 68 caliber, or even a smaller one, and the little puff of smoke of particulates that you get from that is enough. If you land it from 20 feet, it's going to hit someone perfectly. It's going to put a little cloud around their head, and they are going to be incapacitated. And we know from experience, we know weather conditions, we know there's wind, we know that that is unlikely. I've shown you, and I try on this channel to always keep showing you body cam videos. I haven't shown you a lot recently, but I've got a whole library and a whole playlist of pepperball body cam videos, a lot of kinetic impact hits and things, just to sort of get everybody to shake them back to reality and realize what works and what doesn't work. Now, if you're into less lethal, you should be into self-defense. You should not be into calling yourself less lethal if you're just playing, and if you're just shooting, and if you're just plinking. That's a whole different ball game. It takes a bit of seriousness to really get into it. So It's probably not fair, and I know I'll probably get some criticism for using the term Fudd, because it is definitely in the firearm community viewed as a negative thing. And I'm also very attuned to the fact that within the less lethal community, there are many righteous, honest, prudent, rational people who are in this for the right reasons, who are doing it for the right things. I have a lot of those people who comment on my videos and are subscribers to this channel, because I know that is I know who those people are, because I'm talking to them regularly in the comments section. And I know that there are people out there who are very rational and they're doing this for a very good reason. But I also know there are people that are in countries where it is illegal, and yet they're still doing it. They are building things that have more power than they are allowed in their country. They're willing to, even in the United States, to modify and build something that is going to get them in more trouble than they may have already been in, should they ever need to use it. And I guess the rationale for them is that they will only use it in a life and death situation versus a firearm. Well, I'm here to tell you that is a bad decision. But I realize that some people, if you don't have good options, that's what you have to do. Air guns, there are PCP air guns. I'm always telling people there are PCP air guns out there now that are pistol shaped. There are various intermediate sizes that have the power that you desire, and they will be reliable if you use them properly. But to taking these other markers and manipulating them in ways that are going to be unreliable is just fool's gold. And I think for there's a lot of salesmanship and a lot of false advertising and a lot of profiteering going on with that. Don't fall for it. Be wise and focus on what will work for you and what will be reliable, and practice on self-defense skills, real self-defense skills. Having a pretty launcher that is modded with fancy lasers and optics and things that are far beyond what you need for a close encounter, less lethal defense is completely not necessary. You're not going to be using a less lethal launcher, a 68 caliber air gun, as a sniper rifle. You're not going to be using long 20+ inch barrels. It's not practical. It's not practical in your home. It's not practical to carry outside. So just be realistic. And when you see people doing these things, realize that these people are just doing it for fun. And these are people that we would characterize as Fudds. And they're not to be taken seriously, but they are providing entertainment to some people who may find that they get some value out of that. I personally don't get value out of looking at things that are either abnormally looking, not likely to be reliable, just impractical. There's just so many reasons that that's just not in the best interest of anyone who wants to practice real less lethal. So I'm telling you the term less lethal, and don't be a less lethal Fudd. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Don't go down a path of believing that the weakest of launchers will save you in every situation, and don't believe that you can create the most powerful of launchers that will be able to match the worst situation as well. Either extreme is very unwise and not very smart. Find yourself in the center, be realistic, be practical, and know what they are capable of, and train, practice, think about the scenarios in which you will use it. That will serve you far better than allowing delusion to creep into your practice. And also just don't be one of those people that never gives actual self-defense a real thought and just focuses on this launcher and what I can do with it versus one spring or this tweak of the CO2 or this HPA tank or big tank, little tank, this or that. To me, that's meaningless. It's not getting you anywhere. Stay focused and you will improve your safety. I'm going to stop right there. Everybody take care. See you in the next one.